It being 10:30, I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Greater Lafourche Port Commission of May 9, 2018 to order. Ms. Heather Klingman, you lead us to the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to thank you all for coming, and remember to turn down your cell phones, please. Next is roll call. Mr. Sheremy.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. First, we have seat A, Chucky Sheremy here. Seat B, Perry Jusclair.
Here.
Seat C, Chris Godet. Absent. Seat D, Rodney Jusclair.
Here.
Seat E, Curtis Pierce.
Here.
Seat F, Larry Griffin.
Here.
Seat G, John Mellison.
Here.
Seat H, Jimmy Guidry.
Here.
Seat I, Irvin Bruce. Absent. So you have a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sheremy. Mr. Sheremy, next is approve the minutes of the April 11th, 2018 regular meeting.
Move.
Move by Mr.
Second.
Griffin, second by Mr. Pierce. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Next is Executive Director's report. Mr. Shelson.
Thank you, Mr. President. First is our Northern Expansion projects. Northern Expansion Slip C 939 linear foot west bulkhead, Angelette Picciola, Mr. Larry Picciola.
Yes, this project is substantially complete. Two-level contractor is the contractor who did final inspection yesterday. The substantial completion and final analysis change order will be at next meeting, June meeting. The only thing he has left to do is to put the timber cap on top of the bulkhead and do a final dress up and remove this stuff. Yesterday, day before yesterday, they pumped the upper pipe full of concrete, so they're on the end. The dredge can start dredging whenever we want to dredge.
Linear foot west sweep dredge.
Okay, the contractor is on site. The notice was received was issued for May 1st. He has had some problems, engine problems. He's down right now, and I hope he will start dredging shortly.
Okay. Any questions?
Okay, Northern Expansion Slip C 1,671 linear foot east bulkhead, Picciola and Associates, Joe Picciola.
Murphy Dredging is the contractor. They've driven all the concrete piles for the dead end. They've actually driven all the steel sheet pile on the project and the mooring bollards. They're currently pouring concrete for the dead men. They've completed 17 out of 26 dead men so far pouring concrete. And they're starting to hang the steel I-beam railer on the backside. They did about 1,000 linear feet of that. So right now they're on schedule or slightly ahead of schedule.
Any question for Joe? Thank you, Joe.
Mitigation dredge of Slip D, J. Wayne Plaisance.
John, could you turn the mic on? She said the mic's not on.
Nope.
No. Hold on. Not on the back side. Now it's on.
There we go.
There you go.
Okay. You threw me off there.
Hey, he caught you speeding.
Okay, the contractor is still going. He's making progress. They are probably behind schedule. We don't know if they'll finish on time, but they are. They have finished filling Rappalace Pond. They're working on the northern end now, so they are making some progress.
Any questions? Thank you, John.
Thank you. Okay, airport projects. Richard.
Yes, airport operations, 2,387 operations in April, 11,991 passengers, and 18,000 vehicles. All of our 18 numbers exceed all of our 17 numbers, and those passenger numbers are the highest of higher than the best month in 2017. So we're doing good on operations and passengers. And I think Ms. Heather Kleeman is going to come up and talk to you about the taxiway LED upgrades.
All right, good morning. So on the taxiway lighting project, the contractor is substantially complete as of April 30th. They finished everything. They're essentially just working on punch list items right now. We expect them to be done probably end of next week on that. Later down on the agenda, you'll see that there is an approval for a substantial completion certificate, again, which would be on April 30th. And then also, there's change order number 1, which is going to be for additional time. Their original substantial completion date, per the original contract, was April 6th. There were some rain delays. There were rain delays. That's, in December when we had the freezing temperatures. There were a few days for the freezing temperatures, and then there were also some visibility issues and fog days that were in there. So what we're recommending is 24 days of, I think it was like 50 that they had requested. So we're recommending the 24 additional days. That gets them up to the April 30th. And that's it. If anyone has any questions, I'll try to answer.
Thank you.
All right, thank y'all.
Thank you, Heather. Okay, and the airport access road culvert improvements, PCOL and Associates.
This project is a new project. It's to replace the two 72-inch diameter culverts that cross the airport road at the main outfall canal that leads to the pump station. We're going to replace those culverts with a 10x8 concrete box culvert. It's going to provide a little bit more flow in the outfall canal, and it'll be a little bit more substantial for longevity. So we've finished all the surveying, project surveying. The plans are about 95% complete. We're going to meet with Davey and with Richard tomorrow morning to discuss the plans in detail, and then shortly thereafter we'll go out for bid.
Any questions? Okay. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Other projects. First is the Section 203 feasibility study. GIS engineering. Joni will give that update.
Okay, good morning. We actually had a really productive meeting at the Corps office yesterday in New Orleans, where we went through where the project's up to. We talked about the tentatively selected plan and our locally preferred plan, and really talked the Corps through the methodology and the thinking behind the more or less the value proposition for doing the work. We were anticipating a lot more questions than we got, which was really good. And the questions that we did get were more of a technical nature, and we had all the right answers for them. So that was very positive. We started our document review, so we've just gotten, GIS has just shared the actual documents that they're working on for us to start to review. We have a team meeting on Tuesday of next week, and also part of our conversations yesterday with the Corps really spun out some good ideas on legislative remedies that we'd like to pursue through the next WRDA. And so when we're in DC next week, we'll also start those discussions with the appropriate folks. So do you have any questions?
Thank you, Joan.
Thank you, sir.
All right. LA 308 airport access improvements. PCOL and Associates.
As we're still in discussions with EDA about getting approval to go forward, we're having a meeting with them next week to discuss things in detail, try to wrap up submittals, and then we'll go out for bid.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, LA1 Phase 2 Leeville Mitigation Dredge Project. Angelette Picciola.
Yes, this project is complete. You have a substantial completion to further in the agenda and a change order for additional dredging. They took full advantage of the extra 1 foot of cut we allowed for them. So that's what this change order reflects. We also, on the substantial completion, have a punch list, which is to do some repair work where the buggy went everywhere on the site. We met with DNR, we met with landowner ConocoPhillips. We're waiting on a planting plan from Magnolia, which should correspond and address all the issues that were brought up by DNR. And probably later, towards the end of the month, they'll be in to do this corrective work.
Thank you, Mr. Lowry.
Okay, one thing that's not on the agenda, but I wanted to bring up, I briefly spoke about it at our Monday night committee meetings, but it's the Corps of Engineers. We had been working with trying to make sure we can get some supplemental funds for Hurricane Harvey damages. We were ultimately allocated our project, the Corps was allocated funds for both dredging and jetty repairs for Bell Pass and the entire section that they're responsible for dredging. Of a total of 11.1 million. Just this morning, had a discussion with our Raymond Newman, who's our O&M project manager with the Corps of Engineers, and 4 million is attributed to the jetty repair project, which is enough, it's good, and 7.1 million is actually attributed to the dredging of the project, which is really a really good amount of dredging money. As well as there's another 765 or 769,000 that's in just the regular annual budget that came through, so they can use that on whichever project they need to use it. That money's flexible. It'll probably go to the jetties, but we'll see. But again, that's going to be a jetty repair for mainly the east jetty, for the repair of that jetty where there's a few dips and the end of the jetty, the bull nose, was damaged, so that's going to get fixed. And there's going to be an extension of that east jetty coming into through Bell Pass to the bank. And any mariners, if they hear this, they know exactly what I'm talking about when you're looking at that east jetty and why that extension needs to happen. And then maybe we'll see with that extra amount of money, we might be able to see some work on the end, the bullnose of the west jetty as well. And then the dredging is really good funding for dredging. So I want to really thank our congressional delegation for working hard on this. Both Senator Cassidy and Senator Kennedy worked on this, as well as Congressman Scalise. And even though he's not our congressman, Garrett Graves also works and pays attention to our stuff. So really happy, and they did a lot of work in making sure that this was going to take place and happen, and we got these funds. So just wanted to kind of bring y'all around on that, give you a little bit more information, and really the public know that we're always working hard to try to get as much funds as we can for the work necessary on our jetties and our channel. So that's all I had on that. And so next is public comment. And I know Lori LeBlanc, guest, wanted to make some comments.
Good morning, gentlemen. It's great to be here with you all today. I'm Lori LeBlanc. I represent Guest. I also represent Lamoga. So I just want to bring up two real quick comments I had today. First of all, I do have a copy of my latest BIC column. I write a monthly column in the Baton Rouge-based BIC publication, and this one actually highlights some of the policies and regulatory issues that we are in support of President Trump's initiative to become energy dominant. So I'm going to leave you with copies of my BIC column, give you some insight on some of the things that we're working on. The second big news I wanted to share with you today, just to bring you up to speed on the regulatory reform efforts coming out of D.C. You may recall two big rules that Department of Interior and Bessie are working on as a result of President Trump directing the agencies to look at regulations that cause undue burden to various industries, and of course offshore oil and gas is one of them. The first rule that we saw come out was the production safety rule that already went through the reproposal. It already went through public comment period, and it's at OMB now, so we're waiting on the production safety rule to become actually come out for finalized. The next one is the big well control rule. That was a big rule that came out in 2016. It took the previous administration about 5 or 6 years to develop that rule and finalize it. We had a lot of problems with that rule. The good news is about 10 days ago on April 27th, Department of Interior and Bessie had a conference call to announce that they are releasing a reproposal of that rule, a new draft of that rule. And they'll be actually what happened was they had 342 provisions in that rule, of which they revised 59 provisions, which is less than 18% of the original rule. But these are key provisions that the industry had issue with. So we're looking forward to that coming out this Friday. It is scheduled to be published in the Federal Register. So once it's published, we all will have 60 days for public comment period. So I just wanted to give you that update. We will be working with you all on on the public comment period and working with the staff, Chet and Joni, on that. So that was it. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Any other public comment in the audience? Okay, update from the LA1 Coalition. Henri couldn't be here today because he's up in Baton Rouge working on House Bill 703. So bring you up to speed real quickly on that. House Bill 703 gets funding from unclaimed property for this fund that's out there with the state. Gets about $192 million if passed towards the completion of the LA1 project from Leeville to Golden Meadow. So that's a really important bill. It passed the House, so now it's going to the Senate side. It was read twice, the two times it's necessary to be read on the Senate floor, and it's being referred to Senate Finance Committee. It should be on the agenda. We should know sometime in the next couple of hours. It's supposed to be on the agenda tomorrow on Senate Finance Committee. So I'll be up in Baton Rouge tomorrow, assuming that it's on the agenda, to be there to testify to that committee on behalf of that project and that bill. So that's moving along. The other thing, just to reiterate, we had a groundbreaking. The LA1 Coalition, in conjunction with DOTD, had a groundbreaking ceremony at the end of last month that is for the start of that small project that's taking place at the intersection where it's at 90-degree north 90-degree turn. So that'll expand that area. So that's, again, more progress on this project. So that's moving along forward, and we'll see what happens with House Bill 703 to see if it moves along even further into the near future. Okay. And that's all I have, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chet. Next is committee reports. And we start off with Executive Committee. Members are Perry Just Claire, Chairman, Larry Griffin, Chucky Sheremy, and John Millison Jr. First is consider approving the lease with Edward Wisner donation for Fouchon Island.
So, big milestone that we're actually considering approving this lease that we have been negotiating for 6 years, I believe, somewhere around there. And we've finally gotten to a place where we're comfortable and they're comfortable. They have actually approved this lease already through their group. So it's our turn to approve that lease. Briefly, and Bryce can go into some of this as well, but real briefly, it's a 30-year primary term with several options that take us out, 6 10-year options, which take us out to December 31st of 2108. So Bryce, if you want to go into some of the, briefly in some of the particulars.
Sure, and we discussed all of this on Monday night, but basically the way the rent is structured, we have a base rental that we pay, which is pretty much consistent with what we did on the Northern Expansion lease. That's $50 an acre per year for those first 30 years. For the first 8 years of the lease, if for some reason we do receive any revenue on the property, we would share 10% with Wisner. For the remainder of the primary term, we would share 10% of anything we receive over what we project. And in past 30 years for the extension options, we share, on the first extension option, we share 25% of all revenues received, which again is consistent with what we do in the Northern Expansion. The only sort of difference on this lease is that every subsequent 10-year extension option, we just increase the amount that we share with them by 1%. So ultimately, at the end of the 90 years, we'll be sharing 30% of all revenue we receive. So, like Chet said, we've been negotiating a long time on this, and we've been very far and kind of bridging the gap between our two positions, and we feel that this is a good deal and something we can be excited about.
Yep.
I'll move, Mr. President.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Sherman, second by Mr. Griffin. Any discussion?
Yes,
Okay, go.
I would like to thank this administration and the staff for diligently getting this job done. They came and walked away from this negotiation so many times. Their frustration level was high, but our excitement was even higher when we got it done. It is a very, very big milestone for Port Fourche, and I'd like to thank Chet and his staff.
I was gonna do the same thing, and I'm sure the whole board feels that
Same way.
because yes, definitely as far as a milestone it is, the plans for that area are big, more than we can talk about today, but there are a lot of plans for that area, and it's to diversify a little bit from what we have already. And the only other thing I have to say is, Mr. Larry says he can't wait to be there
90 years from now to see what
90
he's going to
years
do.
from now for the re-signing, but
Yeah.
I don't know if I can make it, so. Any other discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Next is consider approving the amendment with Kiewit Land to extend the lease term for site GLF 306.
Okay, so that's that site along AJ Este Road that is currently unleased by others, but part of the agreement we have with the Calumet, if it's not leased within a year, then it reverts back to the Calumet. So in order for us to maintain control of the property, we are paying the rent that they would have received from us anyway. So recommendation is to approve this.
Moved by Mr. Gisclair, second by Mr. Pierce. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Next, to consider approving the amendment with U.S. Customs to allow a 30-day notice to terminate the office space at the port complex.
Okay, as you're aware, we've been talking about this for a while. U.S. Customs, at some point, will more than likely relocate from this Galeana office. So the recommendation is to approve their request that they just give us a 30-day notice whenever they're ready to remove. We don't have a date of when that's going to be, but they just want to be able to get out of their lease because currently they have, I think, 7 more years left that they would have to stay if we do not approve them to leave.
Moved by Mr. Guidry, second by Mr. Sheremy. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Next is consider approving the termination of landlord agreements for Morton Holdings Offshore Support Services and Fouchon Heavy Lift leases.
Okay, we've already approved agreements for their new landlord agreements. So this is just kind of cleaning up their old landlord agreements and actually doing a formal termination. Recommendation to approve.
Moved by Mr. Pierce, second by Mr. Gisclair. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Next is consider approving the landlord subordination and estoppel agreement with In Hot Water and Subleasee Clean Waste Holdings for site GLF 611.
Go ahead, Bryce.
Okay, these are, the recommendation is to approve this. Essentially just allows the lenders who are loaning the sublessee money to operate on this site. It allows them to come in and get the collateral in the event that there's a default on the loan. So we routinely approve these. We have language that we added to it, and everything seems to be common. So I recommend we approve.
Moved by Mr. Griffin, second by Mr. Guidry. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Next is consider approving the landlord consent and subordination agreement with Omni Energy Services for site GLF 625.
Okay, this is in essence the same sort of thing that Bryce just mentioned for the the previous dock operator. This is a new facility. This is new financing agreements for that facility, so recommendation to approve.
Moved by Mr. Pierce, second by Mr. Gisclair. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is number 7, consider approving the request from Martin Operating Partnership to extend lease terms for GLF 501-16A, 501-16B, and 501-16C.
Okay, so Martin is entering into a sublease with another company, and before they can do that, we need to get their lease extended and kind of get some of the terms amended. So the request, they have these three leases that you mentioned. They have some different dates that they end. So we will amend the leases to all end on the same date, which would be July 31st of 2022. And then basically we go from there and extend out. The request is for 4 more 5-year options. Recommendation is to approve.
Move.
Moved by Mr. Mellison, second by Mr. Guidry. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Number 8 is consider approving the cooperative endeavor agreement with Fourchon Almonds Association.
Okay, so we are sponsors and provide in-kind services to the rodeos, Fourchon Almonds Rodeo. So this is a cooperative endeavor agreement that stipulates with the sponsorship that we get with the in-kind services and the cash sponsorship that we provide gets us to a certain level of sponsorship capability. So it basically dictates the reciprocation of we provide funds and services and we get signage and things out of that give us reciprocating agreements. So recommendation is to approve this cooperative endeavor agreement.
Moved by Mr. Gisclair, second by Mr. Pierce. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 9 is consider approving the cooperative endeavor agreement for the Golden Medal Fourchon Tarpon Rodeo.
This is the same situation that I just mentioned, but for the Gold Medal Fourchon Tarpon Rodeo. Recommendation to approve.
Move.
Moved by Mr. Griffin, second by Mr. Guidry. Any discussion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to make note that the Golden Medal, it's a good cooperative endeavor agreement, because on Monday night at South Lafourche, this organization gave $31,000 in scholarships to students at South Lafourche. So I just wanted to recognize that.
Sure.
Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 10, consider approving the summer employment applications.
Okay, we received 11 applications for our 6 jobs, summer jobs that we have. The maintenance department requested to freeze, so to speak, and hire one that's been a past employee, summer employee, and we typically do that, and that's going to be Mr. Ian Bourgeois. So he is going to be offered a position, and then what we'll do is, as we always do, is pick out of the cup for the rest of all the names, and we'll contact them in that order and offer them a position, one of those 5 positions that are left.
You ready?
Yes, sir.
Gavin Guidry.
Brett Pete.
Jaden Jeremy. Bo Bruce.
We have one more left to pull?
We'll be pulling all of them.
All right.
put them in order.
Yeah, in order.
Devin Mellison. Now, y'all made me look bad here. Congratulations.
Tyler Thibodeau.
Mr. Guidry, pull one for Mr. Bruce.
Yeah.
Okay. Good thing I didn't pull that first. Al Gidry.
I'm gonna do Mr. Godet's pool, Thomas LeBlanc.
I'm gonna do Larry's pool, Conrad Jeremy.
One left. You really did my poll. Oh, no, we have one left.
Yeah.
Open this up. Christopher Plaisance. Okay. And I guess
now
you
you
can explain that if somebody doesn't take it, it falls to the next number.
That's right. That's why we pull all of them.
Yeah.
We call them in order. The first five that were pulled get the first offer, and if anybody says no, I have another job, then we go to the next number until we hit, all the five plus, so we have all 6 jobs filled.
And
So-
I might also add that our executive director was once a mosquito crew
Yes, I was.
worker. Okay?
3 summers,
Yes, 3 summers. All right, see that? All right,
long time ago.
yes.
All right, so now you need to approve it.
All right, we move on to construct.
Wait, approve.
We have to prove
Oh,
that.
I'm sorry. Moved by
I'll move.
Jeremy, second by Just Claire. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Next, we move into Construction and Development Committee. Members are Irvin Bruce Chairman, Larry Griffin, Perry Gisclair, and Rondi Gisclair. In absence of Mr. Bruce, Mr. Griffin, would you take the committee, please?
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. First is consider approving change order number 1 from Sun Industries for taxiway lighting and runway LED upgrades.
Okay, so this is adding 24 days, which gets them to their April 30th end date. Recommendation to approve.
Move.
Moved by Mr. Mellison, second by Mr. Pierce. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Next is consider approving the substantial completion certificate from Sun Industry for the taxiway lighting and runway LED upgrades.
Project is substantially complete. Recommendation to approve.
I'll move.
Moved by Mr. Jeremy, second by Mr. Gisclair. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Okay, next is consider approving change order number 1 from Magnolia Dredge and Dock for the LE1 Phase 2 Leeville Mitigation Dredge Project.
Okay, this is for an increase of $75,703.50 for additional dredging that was done as part of this project. Recommendation to approve.
Moved by Mr. Pierce, second by Mr. Gisclair. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Should have said the total price of that project now is $700,553.50. That's good.
Okay, next is consider approving the substantial completion certificate for Magnolia Dredge and Dock for LE1 Phase 2 Leeville Mitigation Dredge Project.
As mentioned, that project is substantially complete. Recommendation to approve.
Moved by Mr. Guidry, second by Mr. Mellison. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
And that completes my construction and development, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Griffin. Next is Finance Committee. Members are John Mellison, Jr., Chairman, Jimmy Guidry, Chris Godet, and Perry Gisclair.
Good morning,
Mr.
and thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Griffin, you did a wonderful
Oh,
job.
thank you, Mr. Mellison.
Man. We'll start off by considering approving payments of April 2018 invoices and recognizing those over $10,000. We'll begin item 1, Crosby Dredging, LLC, $1,572,542.60. Item, and that is for Slip C Phase 3 bulkhead and mitigation dredging of Slip D. Item 2, Sea Level Construction Incorporated, $620,394.22, and that's for Slip C North, 939 linear feet of west bulkhead. Item 3, South Lafourche Levee District, $200,000 even, and that is for the operations of the locks for the year 2018. Item 4, Sun Industries, $144,755.22, and that is for the airport lighting project. Item 5, Magnolia Dredge and Dock, LLC, $142,544.43, and that is for the LA1 Phase 2 mitigation dredge project. Item 6, PCO and Associates, $66,486.15, and that is for a Slip C Phase 3 bulkhead, the boathouse permit at the Nerby Collins Marina, and the culvert repairs at the airport. Item 7, Epic Aviation, $48,709.82, and that is for fuel for resale and the truck rental at the airport. Item 8, Angelette Picciola, $39,339.71, and that is for the minor Jeremy Road paving, the LA1 Phase 2 mitigation, and Slip C Northern, 939 linear feet of bulkhead. Item 9, Picciola Construction Company Incorporated, $33,500 even, and that is to install the new countertops at the operational facility in Fouchon and to install the new roof on the port complex next door to the main office. Item 10, Vision Communications, $24,744.65. That is for phone, internet, and cable services. Item 11, Bank of America, $18,521.99. Port credit card monthly charges, or port credit card charges, excuse me. Item 12, Laporte, APAC, $15,000 even, and that is for auditing services. And the last item to announce is Grand Isle Shipyard, $13,324.07, and that is for contract labor at the airport. That, and along with our other expenditures, brings us to a total of $3,400,636.29. And Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion, we accept these expenditures.
Moved by Mr. Millerson.
Second.
Second by Mr. Pierce. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Mr. President, next we have to adopt the 2018 ad valorem millage rate, and I'll turn that over to the president, and then you can move on with that. I'm sorry, I turn it over to the director to say what it is.
Yeah, so go ahead,
Read
Mr.
the
President, you
resolution.
read the resolution, yes, sir.
Be it resolved that the following millages are hereby levied on the 2018 tax roll on all properties subject to taxation by Greater Lafourche Port Commission. Maintenance, 6.54 mils. Be it further resolved that the proper administrative officials of the parish of Lafourche, state of Louisiana, be and they are hereby empowered, authorized, and directed to spread said taxes as herein above set forth upon the assessment roll of the said parish for the year 2018, and to make the collection of the taxes imposed for and on behalf of the taxing authority according to law, and that the taxes herein levied shall become a permanent lien and privilege on all property subject to taxation as herein set forth, and collection thereof shall be enforceable in the manner provided by law. The foregoing resolution was read in full, the roll was called, and adoption thereof, and the resolution was adopted by the following votes.
So we need to take a roll call.
Roll call, Mr. Jeremy.
Yes, sir,
Wait,
Mr.
hold on.
Vice.
Motion, then a second.
I'd like to move.
Moved by Mr. Mellison, second by Mr. Jeremy. All in favor signify by saying aye. Roll call.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Seat A, Chucky Sheremy, yes. Seat B, Perry Gisclair.
Yes.
Seat C, Chris Godet, absent. Seat D, Rodney Gisclair.
Yes.
Seat E, Curtis Pierce.
Yes.
Seat F, Larry Griffin.
Yes.
Seat G, John Melisol.
Yes.
Seat H, Jimmy Guidry.
Yes.
Seat I, Irvin Bruce, is absent, so it passed, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Sherman.
And just to make mention for the public that our max capability is actually 6.83 mils, but that's not what you all adopted, which is what we wanted to do. It's actually 6.54 mils is what we're actually going to assess and collect. Thank you.
All right. Next, we have consider approving out-of-state travel and training. We have commissioners attending the AAPA seminar for port governing boards in Canada, June 18th through the 21st. We have Commissioner Rodney Gisclair, Commissioner Curtis Pierce, and Commissioner Godet. Next, we have the AAPA Port Security Seminar and Expo in Illinois, July 24th through the 27th. We have Miss April Danos, Director of IT, and John Colley, Harbor Police Chief, attending. Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion, we accept these out-of-state travel and training requests.
Moved by Mr. Melisson, second by Mr. Guidry. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Mr. President, this concludes the financial report.
And,
Thank you, Mr. Melisson.
And Mr. Melisson, I'd like to return the compliment. Job well done.
Any other business?
Yeah, I have something. I want to commend our harbor patrolmen yesterday. We had the seniors had boat day in the bayou. We're taking outboards to school and all. Our guys did a wonderful job making sure that everything was safe. Nobody had any problems. It all went good. And our guys even rescued the swamp people yesterday. So it was a good deal. They did good. So I want to commend them for that. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Also, I'd like to, something that hasn't happened in years, I want to mention that the oil price is up to over $70 a barrel. For a long time it's been like that, so things are looking up.
Any other business? Any public comment?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn, Mr. President.
Moved by Mr. Sheremy, second by Mr. Gisclair. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Meeting adjourned. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for coming. And in the future, you will see what that Fouchon Island that we talked about today, what is going to become and what is going to, the realization will be in the future.